Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Let's talk about Sibiya's answers yesterday to the media and also Vusimuzi Houdini Matlala and his Hosh Karimama. He's applying for bail. Let's talk about them. Let's start with Sibiya. If you're accused of breaking a window and are taken to the headmaster's office, and your response to those accusations is the following: I was not alone in breaking those windows, I think that's the wrong response. It's just me, but I think that response to the allegations should not include any iteration of I was not alone in breaking those windows. And in a way, I feel that this is the option that was chosen by General Shadrack Sibiya. Now, here's the update to the whole General Shadrack Sibiya story. As you know, General Shadrack Sibiya has been labeled as a criminal by General Mkhwanazi. He said a police officer cannot work with the criminal. He accused General Shadrack Sibiya of having conversations with notorious gangsters and their middleman. You know, we've heard so many names like Brown Mkhotsi, Malcolm X, people who seem to be in the mix in various events and conversations in this saga of the relationships between criminal gangs, syndicates, politicians, as well as police officers, particularly senior police officers. Now, one of the roles that seems to have been played by Shadrack Sibiya in the allegations that have been put forward is that he was pushing for the disbanding of the political killings task team. And that's the team that has been directly involved in investigating several high-profile murders, in investigating several high-profile, incidents of crime in South Africa. And based on the research of that team and the Gauteng team, they were able to unravel, according to them, a massive syndicate which is operating across South Africa, based in Gauteng, but also operating internationally. And it's not surprising to me that they would say that there is an indication that there's a syndicate that's operating internationally, because there's a book. I struggled to get this book because it's no longer in print, Clash of the Cartels by Karen Dolly. And this book actually indicates that there are international syndicates operating. In fact, if you remember Katiso Molefe's initial allegations, or one of his initial convictions, was that he was actually selling drugs, not in South Africa, in the United Kingdom. So there is this connection between South Africa, Brazil, the UK, and several other places in the trade of illicit drugs. So the task team says that they've unraveled and uncovered critical figures in all of this. And they have a lot of dockets that they investigated, prepared, that were ready to go to prosecution. 121 dockets, if I'm not mistaken. So what people are saying about Shadrack Sibiya is that he seemed to have a healthy appetite, for getting his hands on those dockets. He seems to have a proclivity for getting his hands on those dockets. He seemed to have a keen desire to get his hands on those dockets. The dockets were mihlali to him. He just wanted to touch the dockets. He just wanted to fondle the dockets. So that's what he's accused of, right? And following all of the events that broke out on the 6th of July, he was placed on a special suspension, particularly after the minister was placed on a special suspension. The Minister of Police himself was placed on a special suspension. The next person to face this special suspension, leave of a special kind, special leave, that's what it's being called, special leave, right, was him. So he's approached the court to actually say, please reinstate me. He's challenging the special leave, and that challenge may actually be moot at this particular point. Why would it be moot? Because they are now going ahead with a formal suspension. He has received a letter, which we'll talk about later. But yesterday he was in court, and instead of making the case for why his special leave should be withdrawn, his lawyers played for touch. They played for more time, because he went to the court and made an application for his matter to be heard by 3 judges instead of 1. So the judge president had placed 1 judge on this matter, and he's saying, no, 1 judge ain't enough for me. 2 judges ain't enough for me. I need 3 judges. But I think it's also because his legal team just needs to work out everything that's been playing out and revise and devise a new strategy for everything that's happening. But yesterday he spoke to the journalists outside of the court. You know, I think Shadrach Sibiya should just avoid talking to the media. Every time he talks to the media, he says something that he thinks is brilliant when he says it, but oftentimes comes across as, Chief, you are guilty of the things that they're saying you. Those allegations seem a little bit more credible every time you vula your mlomo and you respond. I'm just saying. So listen to how it went down yesterday. This is how it went down.
Well, the bottom line is that there are processes and there's law in the country. Whatever step that you take, it must be within the law. So everyone has got the right, and we are all protected by the Constitution, and no one is above the law. All of us must behave and respond accordingly, as per regulations, as per what the Constitution dictates. So even if you feel that maybe perhaps I could be involved in something, there are processes, there are laws to be followed. You don't just act nilly-willy.
Deputy National Commissioner Puleli Chiti-Jones, ENCA, would you say that you misstepped or stepped over? The National Commissioner argues that despite him warning you not to be involved in the disbanding of the political killings task team, you went ahead, you overstepped and decided that you will ignore his plan to gradually unphase out the PKTT.
At this point in time, I'm quite sure that this is what was going to be ventilated here today, so that you could hear what is being discussed, the facts put on the table. Where I'm standing, I'm quite sure and quite confident that I've done nothing wrong. And it is for the judge at the ultimate end to finally say whether I'm guilty or not. But I can safely tell you that I'm actually waiting for a positive outcome. I do know that I am not involved in any wrongdoing, and we will be clear.
Okay, but did you interfere or not interfere in the disbanding of the PKTT?
I never interfered, and what I also can say is that in the whole system, it can't be that I'm the only one who interfered, who did this and that. Over and above, there are many people that are in the system with a matter that has been handled since January, with a lot of feedback being given, a lot of meetings being held, going in and out of Parliament, discussing the same matter. Now, how do you then pin it on one individual and say, this person did 1, 2, 3, 4?
Okay, so you're saying you agreed with the National Commissioner that the PKTT should be gradually phased out?
Look, there is correspondence in that regard that explain what happened, and that correspondence will be properly ventilated in court.
So Sibiya says to Pule Jones, he says he could not be the only one who interfered, who did this and that. There are many other people in the system with a matter that's been handled since January, with a lot of feedback being given, a lot of meetings being held, going in and out of Parliament discussing the same matter. How do you pin it on one person, saying this person did 1, 2, 3, 4? Maybe it's me, but to me it sounds like, and maybe it's just me, to me it sounds like he's saying there are many people who broke the windows. How can the principal or the headmaster say, I was the one who did 1, 2, 3, 4? Maybe it's because they found the stones in your hand. Maybe it's because they saw WhatsApp messages between you and the other window breakers. Sir, you're a window breaker. Mad at me? I think I know why. 'Cause you're a window breaker. Mr. Sibiya, I still remember the first interview you did when Kwanazi made his press conference speech. Even then, I think you were being rather emotional and you went off on sidetracks and you thought you were dismissing the allegations and disproving their veracity. But even in those answers and yesterday's answers, you seem to be giving credence to what people are saying about you in your professional community. I'm just saying, maybe let your lawyers speak from now on because you are not doing a good job. Ian Levitt and them, that's your law firm, right? Let them speak. Let them speak. So here are some of the details of the case against him in the disciplinary hearing, the suspension hearing that he's now currently going through, which is why this particular my special leave should be withdrawn thing may actually crumble within the courts. Because now they're saying, even if you say your special leave should not be the instrument used to bench you, we still think there are grounds to bench you, right? In the letter that he received, they're saying that Sibiya allegedly gave instructions that case dockets of the political killings task team in KwaZulu-Natal be withdrawn from the task team in KwaZulu-Natal to the divisional commissioner. That's the first thing. The letter then states that this action resulted in the investigation of these case dockets being hindered and or delayed, and further, that these instructions to withdraw the case dockets to a central point were done without the knowledge and or the authorization of the National Commissioner for reasons unknown. So they're saying he acted capriciously, he acted irrationally, he acted in a way that was not commissioned by the commissioner. He was acting in his own interest, perhaps. So he's accused in the letter of acting with the intention to cause harm to or prejudice the service's interest, the police service's interest, and failing to carry out a lawful order or routine instruction without just or reasonable cause. These are serious accusations and allegations against him. He's also accused of defeating the course of justice and of misconduct that detrimentally affects the image of the police service, brings the service into disrepute, and involves an element of dishonesty. The police are saying he is a dishonest fellow who acts against direct orders, who grabs dockets. And this issue of grabbing dockets is something that I think we should be mindful of, because they are characters who, across 20 years or so, have been having cases withdrawn. One of them is Vusi Matlala. His cases have been withdrawn. And Vusi Matlala is an interesting character because he shows up in this book as well. I mean, in a plethora of places. But there's a new book here by Jeff Weeks where he really tries to put together the reasons why Babita Deokaran had to be killed and the people who were involved directly or indirectly. He doesn't obviously say these are the ones who did it, right? But he does show you what happened. Now, I'm going to look at these books in detail in an upcoming book lab review. So watch out for that. Clash of the Cartels and Shadow State. This one I was waiting for. It just recently got onto shelves. This one I had to hunt down. I think I ended up getting it on Bob Shop, or I think that's what it's called, Bob Shop, in case you're wondering. So, yeah, that's the situation. So, as things stand, I actually think it's okay for Sibiya to sit at home and be with his children and family and enjoy leave, special leave, whatever, suspension. Why are you so desperate to get back to work? I think he is conflicted. I think it's the correct decision for Senzo Mkhunu to be on the bench. I actually think he should have been removed altogether from cabinet. I think suspension is also the correct move in this regard for Sibiya. And it seems to me that he's too enthusiastic to get his hands on those dockets. Considering some of what was discussed in terms of the WhatsApp messages that were sent to and fro that implicate him, I don't think that you should ever be in a place where you could touch those dockets before this process is finalized. Then there's one man who was in these text messages. The Hoshkari father himself and the Hoshkari Maima. So Vusimuzi Matlala and his wife, I'm talking about Docket Houdini himself. I'm talking about Docket Houdini, Vusimuzi Matlala, the man who exposed the whole syndicate because he couldn't handle a breakup. That's a small breakup. These Hoshkari fathers, they also going through mjolo pains. So this guy, do you realize that there is an element of, irony and humor in the fact that if this guy had just taken the breakup, General Mkhwanazi and the political killings task team may still be investigating things now. They wouldn't have all of the information that they have, but he couldn't handle the breakup. The Hoshkari Mama was too hot for him. So he had to do what he could. Now you're on the dock, Baba. Now you're on the dock. But the process is still early days. Still early days. So the attempted murder case against the alleged crime boss, Vusimuzi Matlala, has been postponed until next week. So he'll spend another week behind bars, and his bail application will now be heard on the 2nd of September at the Alexandra Magistrate Court. That's on Tuesday morning. But can you see what I've been saying about Hoshkari Mamas? Look at that weave. Look at that material. Hey. Oh, Lolo. This mama is shisaring at another level of shisa. They could be a whole shisa lounge, and this mama could be the whole content of that whole lounge. Do you see what I've been saying about Hoshkari Mamas? This Houdini here knows how to pick the Hoshkari Mamas, but boy, he knows how to pick them. Oh, she's beautiful. She's definitely beautiful. 10 out of 10. Stunning. Look at the weave. Look at the material. Look at the clothes. They've been enjoying money for so long, these people. You know, they've been honey glazed baths and all kinds of things. I don't know what they're using. What kind of, face routine is being used here. Look at what I've been saying about the Hoshkari Mamas. There's an urgent need to make sure that General Mkhwanazi is allowed to set up the HBI, the Hoshkari Behavior Investigative Unit. Please let General Mkhwanazi set this up. I'm convinced that there's a group of BBL mamas and weave connoisseurs who are heavily implicated in Hoshkari behavior. And if their phone records and visitors' records are properly captured, I'm believing that 99% of the syndicates will end up in prison. Just from the Hoshkari Mama investigations, the HBI. Set it up. Let Mkhwanazi do his thing. Solve this. Only General Mkhwanazi has shown that he can get the job done. These ladies have no effect on him. He's willing to stop crime. Not impressed by weaves. So yeah, Vusi gonna have to wait one more week to see what happens with his bail. He may get the bail, he may not, but as things stand, I don't think this guy should be given any bail. I think all of these people need to be behind bars. They've shown that they can be involved in the removal of whistleblowers. They've shown that they have long track records of brushes with the law. They've shown that they have relationships with powerful people within the policing units themselves. These are all indicators that these people should not be let go under any shape or form. They should not. Because if you have Vusi just out there on bail, doing as he pleases, none of these cases will be concluded. None of these cases will be concluded. He's a very dangerous man. He's a very dangerous man. And he's a calculating, conniving guy. Because he was out there looking like a Nigerian Don, looking like Chineke. Then he saw that, hey, this look is not going to work in the courts. Now, all of a sudden, he's looking like Professor Matlala, got the glasses and all of that. But, hey, he's a very dangerous man with a long criminal track record. Look at the video I made before about him. And he was calling Pekekele, putting Pekekele in Menlyn, Maine. How do you afford Menlyn, Maine, sir? Hey, there's a lot happening. Anyway, let's talk in the comment section. What did you make of what Sibiya said? Did you see Vusi Matlala's material? Do you see what's happening? We need that HBI set up as a matter of immediate. Give Mkhwanazi political killing task team. Let that continue nationally, not just in KwaZulu-Natal. Give him the HBI. You solve 99.99% of the criminal problems. I don't know if Kenny Kunene wants any of that to happen, but we'll see what goes down. South Africa, as Tupac once said, it's a movie, a drama, a series. Let's see what happens in the next episode of the telenovela.